What I'm interested in knowing, as someone that has been campaigning about climate change for some time, is whether you will commit to ensuring that actually the UK will provide a fair share of finance to the developing world in addition to the existing commitments that have already been made in terms of overseas development aid, and that aid being to those who need it to adapt to the climate change situations that they find themselves in, but also to help them to develop cleanly.
We heard there is a United Nations target of 0.7% of GDP, gross domestic product, that nations are supposed to give in international aid. And we would sign up for that. We'd make sure that by 2013 we'd reach that level, and we would make sure that it was enshrined in law, so that it was a legal duty of this country to provide that aid. The other thing we'd do, and I think this is what Alex was asking really, was would we put pressure on other nations, and would we make a contribution ourselves to mitigating the effects of climate change? I have to say that at the moment, you may not believe in climate change, some people may not believe it, but I take the science for granted because I've investigated this quite thoroughly. And the general consensus is, at the present time, there's enough carbon dioxide in the atmosphere already to generate an increase in temperature of about 2 degrees. Now, that carbon dioxide has a long, what we call scientifically, half-life. It means it's going to stay there for a long time, well over 100 years. Other gases like methane are also significant, but they stay there for longer. Now, there are issues that go along with that, deforestation, and that's a very serious issue because the Amazon is described as the Earth's green lung. Okay, that absorbs the carbon dioxide, a lot of it, not all of it, of course, and that is an issue which is very important. And we would like to make sure that deforestation reached a limit. It's difficult to enforce that, but what we would do is make sure that the timber that came into this country did come clearly from sustainable sources, and that we dealt with any importers very strongly in that direction if it wasn't. In relation to other things, there are issues which are on the periphery. There's not much we can do about the acidification of the oceans, which is what's happening at the moment. That is a very subtle process, but it does mean that food supplies will be disrupted in some areas. Already the current take from the oceans is increasing to the point where we've got to diminishing returns. The food catch from the oceans, the fish catch, the other types of food as well, beyond fish, plankton, things like krill, if you like, which is used for fertilizer and things like that, that is declining currently. So we've reached a very serious situation where the food supply from the oceans is limited. Now that does mean that we've got to think of other ways of providing that food for people. And limiting the population is an issue that goes along with the food supply and the global warming. In essence, a lot of what's happening is because there are a lot of people on the earth. And the more there are, the worse that will become. In terms of our own economy, they don't really realise this, but every time we get some growth, we get some increase in carbon emissions. We haven't yet developed a way of breaking the link between carbon emissions and the growth that we all want to see because it makes us better off. Now, we've got to be a bit more responsible, haven't we, in the long run. If we want to break that cycle, we've got to be careful about how we do it. We can do it to some extent already by improving our insulation of buildings. The Liberal Democrats would make sure, as far as possible, that within 10 years, every house that could have all cavity wall insulation and other insulation would, in fact, would happen. We'd also give grants in the first 2 years of the Liberal Democrat government to help people install boilers, cavity wall insulation, and also double glazing. That grant's going to be enormous, it'll go up to £400. So that step would make a difference. We'd also like to see, of course, as well, wind turbines produced in the north of England, okay, so that we'll get more installed in the North Sea, and we'd have more renewable resources. So it's setting that example is very important for the rest of the world. We're prepared to help, we're also prepared to try and solve the problem. It's just an example about how it can be solved. Thank you.